it's interesting the word heritage, right? Because I'll always identify as Muslim first, as my religion before my ethnicity.
No way.
So I feel like that has shaped my understanding of culture more than my actual ethnicity.
For me, a heritage recipe is more than just a meal we ate as a child. It's a sentimental feeling, a nostalgic memory, and a tale of home. Cooked by the people we cherish most, these recipes are so ingrained in us that often, in times of need, no other meal will do. This is not a series about chefs. This is a series about home cooks, human connection, and the preservation of family recipes.
Yeah, so background-wise, I'm originally Pakistani. My grandfather, one of my grandfathers, was actually from Afghanistan. So we have a bit of mixed heritage. And then, of course, you have the British side as well, which we're going to see a little bit of in the recipe today.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, British Pakistani.
How would you say that your religion has shaped you culturally?
There's like a really famous saying of our Prophet, peace be upon him, where he says, you know, the one who feeds people enters paradise. And I thought this was a really nice saying. And as I grew up, I always loved to feed people, thinking in my head, like, actually, I love what I'm doing. I love the art, you know, the artistry of cooking. But I love how close it brings me to my religion as well.
Yeah.
Food is a great crossroads of culture, religion, and humanity and everything like that.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's really cool.
What are you going to cook today?
Today we're making pakoras.
Yeah.
That's the Pakistani word for it. I know like the onion specific ones are called onion bhajis, which is like what most people know them as. We call them pakoras, and you could put really any vegetable in them. We're going to go for a very simplified version. And
is there a particular reason why you chose pakoras?
Pakoras for me reminds me of Ramadan. Often we all spend a few fasts in the mosque, and you know, you have the mats rolled out, and they'll just put fruit. And pakoras is like a very easy thing that they just kind of put. So it's a very it's a very simple but core memory for me. I remember when I was working in the hotel we were just discussing earlier, I worked in like a 5-star hotel, and I saw the high end of food when I was cooking during Ramadan, and then in the evening I'd go home to my local mosque and we'd just be rolling out the mat and it'd be pakoras and fruit and stuff like that.
Oh, so you eat inside the mosque?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. Mosques are, I mean, community hubs. You know, more than anything, there's so much more to a mosque than just the praying. It serves so many different functions, right?
Right.
But for me, pakoras like represents like a very, I guess, brings me to my roots.
Yeah.
I think not just from a cultural point of view, but also like it grounds me in that sense.
Yeah.
You know?
So what are we starting with? Onions?
Yeah, onions and aubergines. So
nice.
yeah, you can put whatever you want in them really. So for me, I'm putting as little flour in as possible.
Got you.
Using lots of salt to draw out all the moisture.
Yeah.
And then a bit of flour in just to bind it. I just want them to stick together. That's all.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we've started by prepping the onions. I like to half them and cut them into not so super thin slices. We don't want it to dissolve. You still want a bit of the texture once you've fried it. And then we have aubergines as well. Again, we don't want them to chop the aubergines too finely because then they'll sort of dissolve into the mixture. You won't really taste it. So I go for sort of like inch cubes.
Yeah.
And then we've got coriander as well. You can put loads of other things in there. And then we've got some whole cumin and coriander. I don't want to grind it up because then, you know, as you fry it, you get to taste like little bursts of sort of explosions. Some turmeric, which goes in, which is very important for color. Garam masala as well, just to add a few like sort of smoky notes. The most important thing in this whole recipe, if you were to like get rid of everything else, the one seasoning I would use, which I don't know if you'd call it a seasoning or a flavor enhancer, but it has to be salt. Salt is very important because it's not just about seasoning for this recipe, it's actually the chemical aspect of it. It's you know, drawing out all the moisture from those vegetables, because what will happen is when you know, let it mix in and let it sit for a bit, a lot of the liquid will kind of come out to the bottom. And the more liquid you use in your batter, the less water you're using, and the less water you use, the more flavor. So it all just kind of works together, and it makes it really simple. Cool, so I think that's all pretty well sort of mixed up. To be honest, now it's quite dry as you can see, but like we'll leave this for like 5 minutes.
After it's had 5 minutes, what do you do after that?
Then we can add the gram flour in, bind it up together, add a bit more water just to keep it a bit loose. If we were to take a little bit out, I'd be comfortable that that sticks together, and then we're ready to fry. That's it. Make sure we've got a bit of everything. And just spoon it in, keeping it together. Generally speaking, you know, it's quite forgiving. You know, you do this test batch. Yeah. If it goes wrong,
like pancakes,
they're for you to eat. Just add a bit more to the batter and you're fine. So this drink is called rosa. It's very common, like in Ramadan. It's basically like a distilled syrup of things, but it's like a very strong rose flavor. I like it really sweet, so hopefully I haven't made it too sweet for you. But yeah, you just literally mix it in with milk. Some people have it with water.
Yeah.
I don't like those people because I think it's wrong.
Who would do
I think
that?
it has to have milk. Yeah. Because I think with water it's just a bit too sweet and weird.
Yeah, it's just sugar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just sugar. But with milk, it's very nice. It's like a milkshake basically. So yeah, what do you think? It's good, right?
That's good.
Yeah. So my favorite, it's also is the basis for my favorite Asian dessert, my favorite Pakistani dessert, which is called faluda, where we put basil seeds at the bottom of this. We put soaked rice noodles, and then we put a big scoop of ice cream on top. And it's like this sort of really childish Sunday kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I love it personally. So yeah, it's good stuff. Anyway, onto the pakoras.
Okay, let's go.
We're gonna, so I'll put one on here for you.
Thank you.
And the British aspect of my British Pakistani-ness is using ketchup. So this might for a lot of people be like,
sacrilege.
yeah, sorry, I didn't realize
Is
it was. Yeah, for a lot of people it'd be like sacrilege. You'd be like, what are you doing? But for us, like, you know, you grow up in the UK, you put ketchup on everything.
Yeah.
But ketchup naturally works. It works really well with pakoras, to be honest. So yeah, normally it's had with raita, which is like a yogurty, minty kind of cucumber and tomato and onion and chili dressing, sauce. But we'll have it with ketchup. That's a very childhood thing for us. And in all the
That's how
mosques
you
as
have
well,
it.
they'll have a lot of, you know, people will bring ketchup and stuff like that. So
cool.
yeah, let's give it a try.
I like it with the ketchup.
It's good, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's good.
That's it.
Would your mum eat it with ketchup?
That's a good question.
Or
You know.
would she be
Yeah,
like-
she would actually. She does like ketchup. Yeah. What my grandmother, God bless her, what she used to do is she used to like slice up like aubergines and courgettes in big discs. So she dipped the whole disc of aubergine into the batter and then fry it. So it's like just a whole disc of aubergine.
Oh, really?
That works really nicely.
Yum.
My auntie does it as well. It's like roulette. It's like playing Russian roulette. It's like you don't know which pakora you're gonna get because I've chopped my chilies fine and dispersed them.
Yeah.
So you get a nice little hint of heat. She'll put the whole chilies in.
Wow.
And you'll just bite on one and just taste a whole chili.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's quite violent. it's quite aggressive. Do you remember that we said earlier in the video that you wanted your dad to try some? So just remember that before
I'll even one. Not sure if I can convince them to eat it with ketchup.
Well, the main thing is now you've seen how easy it is, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.